Okay, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Hello, everyone. This is a driving episode. Pretty much driving somewhere, and I thought I record something. I was thinking very deeply about this idea that it termed in my mind as the life of a moment, and how is the moment alive? Like, how is a moment of our life alive? Like, how, what is pretty much the episode is looking at what is the value of a moment of life. Okay. Now, a cool approach is, I think the proper approach is, first we have to wonder about the depths of the answers we can have to such a question, and wondering about, the life of a moment, the value of the life of a moment. One initial approach is that the answer is like, okay, this is how I think about it. That the answer is, first, there could be an answer that's unknowable. There could be an answer that is knowable, but we have not known yet. It's not, we don't know it. And then there is more than one known answer to it, And pretty much the approach is to, and pretty much any problem that the human being sees, you're not like starting from scratch. So it's like we've been given this question, what is the value of the life of a moment, let's say? And we're like, okay, it could have an answer that we can't access, or just like the Rubik's Cube, it has to be like moved in a certain way. And at some point, what problem solving is looking at something from different angles until you can see a workable angle, I guess. My own fascination with what is the life of a moment, right? Sometimes when I give these lectures, in my mind, I fathom like myself, like, asking it like very intensely for myself first. And usually when I choose a title for a talk, there's something I've seen about it. To be honest, it's an interesting topic. I think a crucial one that any person has to wonder at some point. They will probably. But right now, I guess you have access to one person's interpretation of this. So the question is, what is the value of the life of a moment? Okay, just that idea. And it's looking at it and being like, okay, the way the moment sounds is that it sounds like a unit, okay? And the life of a moment is like asking the question, what is the value to a unit? Okay, and so we have to zoom in on what is a moment exactly, what are its boundaries. And it's not like this is an analytical thing, because what I've understood is that human beings are in this much more complex system than them, and we are working with this. We're working through this system, to see what may happen before we transition out of here. And please tell me if I'm not audible. This should be audible, guys. You should be hearing me. I really hope you can hear me. Anyways, to continue. So, when we wonder about the life of a moment, it's like wondering about, okay, an instance where reality is held in a certain way. We do have this realization we're in a changing world, so to consider a moment to be a moment, it is a snapshot of it, right? That means it's either the moment is instantaneous or the moment is a space, an awareness to a space where everything's constantly changing. You know what I'm saying? So is the moment, like we're trying to value a moment, like is the moment just like this spotlight? Imagine this invisible camera in looking at a chunk of space, part of the landscape of existence, and it's just, it's like the space is constant. What's moving in the space isn't. What human beings are considering to be a moment of being is an awareness to stuff in the moment changing. So it's the question of what is the moment. And what I find interesting is that, like, at least to me, the moment belongs to something. This is what I've understood. It's like people are like, yo man, I'm free in a free world. It's like, what part of this looks free? Everything is conditionally kept. From the gravity of our planet to that psychological ability in the human being to make a decision between right and wrong. What has happened here is not that complex. It's like from one angle, it's a bunch of organisms, okay, that have evolved to be capable of noticing their environment. And now they've reached a point where they can not just notice it objectively in different ways and using different tools and instruments, but they can subjectively look at it in different ways. What really is the moment of being right now? It's the ability of an organism to be aware of its space in multiple ways, because the singular awareness to the space that we're existing is the objective reality. The first wave of awareness I have is like existence. Yeah, physical stuff, color, shape, form, distance, space. I hope this is audible, man. Can you guys hear me? Why is there nobody? Oh my god. Okay. How do I... Anyways, guys, I'm going to keep going. So, first wave of awareness. So pretty much what being a human being is the capability of an organism, without us giving a story to it yet, just what we find. Like there's this human organism, and it is clothed itself into systems of behavior. And there's an awareness to the moment. In order to have a value, there requires to be consciousness simultaneous to existence. Correct? So what that means is like, we're being conscious of existence in one way, in the first way as objective. Then we are being conscious of the depth, the meaning of this first layer of existence through subjectivity. Human beings are not that complex of an organism. They are on some level physically accessing reality, existentially accessing reality, and then they have become conscious that they are also experientially accessing the existential reality. That means you're not just existing, you're aware you're existing. Yo! So you are not just accessing content, You're aware you're accessing content, and humanity has been trying to define itself through the content, realizing it's always stationed as a greater awareness to the content. You could come and be whatever, like atheist with a mustache, and come and shout that, like, no, this is what it is, but what this is not what we think it is. The issue of reality is that it is not been just physically fabricated, it has also been psychologically, subjectively fabricated. It's psychologically fabricated, it's subjective. Good and bad, liking someone and disliking someone, right and wrong. These are fabrications. When it comes to the study of duality, which in the future will become like, professors, there will be professors on unity and professors on duality, but in a way more advanced way. The academic system right now is still in its teenage years. I don't know how to tell you, but no way, shape, or form, guys, in no way, dear viewers, ever be convinced that the humanity you have seen in 2025 up to 2025 is in any way, the current humanity is in any way the most advanced. Okay? The whole point of being a human being is that we're in the presence of the most advanced. We are not the most advanced. The most advanced humans, I guess I gotta say it this way, some of the most advanced humans have arrived, but the advanced humanity has not arrived. And the human being is a creature that deals with potentials. Pretty much we have two ways to look at the world, real and unreal, and then you have methods of engagement with these dimensions. That means you as a human being, you have so many opinions on what is not real. Do you know? It's like, yo, look at this, like aliens looking at like human beings from a distance would be like, yo, look at these atheists and theists. One of them has an opinion, on a reality that they're not accurately seeing, and the other has an opinion on the same reality that they're not accurately seeing. That means it's a show, folks. It's a show. It's theater. It's theater, and this is why I think when you look at people, it's like, yo, man, is existence a type of entertainment industry? Do you know? I think that's a very deep idea. I don't know what the F is wrong with the viewers not applauding this. Anyways, the whole focus is, it's like we started with what is the life of the moment, and then okay, what does that mean? What is the value of a moment of being alive? And you look at it and you see what's been accessible. There was this expression, I don't know how to even say it, but there was this expression, at least in Iranian culture, Persian culture, where it was like, they would call it sofrechini or something, which translates as setting up like a picnic style, dinner. Okay? I don't know how to say it, like it's all... Anyways, where I'm going with this is, in any moment you gotta see what's accessible to you and how you're set up as a being. Right now, my body is I consider it as a part of my objective, part of my unknown access to objective existence. More than I am convinced I'm a physical body, I am convinced in an unknown way I'm getting access to this existence. It is 100% a consideration of what we have access or not. I think when it comes to the soul, the two verbs that apply are access or no access, or like, granted or restricted. Because it does appear to me that we're not just a physical human idea, so we limit all of reality to that. We are actually a more complex entity. That means to limit our thinking to just the human idea doesn't mean that's the most advanced thing we can do. We have to look at reality. We have to look at the events that take place. There should be some sort of theory or rule that, like, yo man, as the population increases, our depth of exploration of reality must increase too. In honesty, to value a moment of life is coming into terms with the limited ways you've known the world so far and how unknown it actually is, and what the unknown implies to the total body of knowledge, to the totality of what humans call knowledge. So I'm like, yo guys, in the process of trying to answer the question, what is the value to the life of the moment, in that process of trying to explain that, I am telling you, the knowledge we have to explain the moment is incomplete. The ability so far as human beings we have, it's like an unsolved Rubik's Cube. It's like answering the question, do human beings have an accurate view on reality? And it's like, nah, because there's so many. It's like we're just a little range in the electromagnetic spectrum. Physical reality, and it's just awakened. A light went on in the room. Now, because it's not just light, it's an intelligence. It's wondering, what does it have access to? Intelligence is about access, which is ironically very similar to how life can be seen as a video game. Each level suggests what you have access to. That means physically, like young people have access to energy and health, right? But they don't have access to depth. And old people have access to depth, but they don't have access to, energy and whatnot, right? So it's this strange, bizarre situation that when we are capable of acting the best, right? And we have the energy to do the best things, we don't have the wisdom. Do you understand? Like, why is it like the system has been designed that wisdom cannot, like the system, guys, it's so weird. I figured out why I was born and why we all were born. This system has not been upgrading in accordance to the wisdom of the species for some reason. That means all these human beings have been getting old and seeing how effed up reality is, but they're not passing it down. And it's like, we're like, what is this? Is this like one of those kind of like wars of trying to break the illusion or not? Like a part of the human population. It's like, no, let children wander in worlds of like, delusional happiness, right? And then from another angle, like there's a group of people, it's like, no, the world's a serious place. Let them know what's going on in reality at an early age, right? And this is very strange because, of course, your ability to, how do I say it? I'm trying to say that it's hilarious. Human beings are born here. They come and go. They get wise, but they don't have energy. They have energy, but no wisdom. And all, like, let's just think from before we just think of the life of a moment. Let us just think of the value of a human lifetime. Like when a human being is born, and imagine like a fast forwarded, like, above their head surveillance footage, you saw their whole life, fast forwarded from like the beginning to the end. And you realize at the end of their life, they had become a human that had seen humanity, right? That had seen like how the world works, had seen the lies, the necessary lies that maybe in the long run were unnecessary, you know. When you look at the lifetime of a human being, and I think Rick and Morty had this one episode, I think it was in the last season, and it showed like a human being's lifetime. I think similarly, if we saw the value of a human life, at the end of its life, it would have enough it would have seen enough to conclude reality, as if it's destined. Do you know? Guys, something I didn't tell you is, like, maybe I did, but I'm driving to like IKEA right now, But anyways, for me, it's kind of like looking at human life and having this eerie feeling like, yo, I'm being a being right now. What do I do with what I'm being? It's like, man, in the middle of my existence, I gotta think about what I'm gonna do with my existence. Anyways. Guys, I'm almost there, so this driving episode's gonna maybe come to an end. But just to, I guess, summarize my whole fascination with this lecture, with this topic, was like, okay, I do understand we have this general consensus of like, yeah, every person's like, their own person and doing their own thing, and everybody has the freedom to do anything. Like, I completely understand this. But after looking at reality, for a ridiculous amount of days, you begin to have conclusions from various angles on the variables that are constant. So what do I mean? So you're like this awareness, this lantern of awareness, this glow of awareness, right, in the moment. Now, what's in your awareness changes, right? In the same way, like you're chilling in your house, and let's say someone's chilling in their house and they're not aware, or they're oblivious to what's going on outside the house, and it's like, reality's changing and the person's not can be in one moment, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to say, like, the world changes before you change. In the same sense, the inner world is changing before the inner you changes. And really, the depth of what's going on here in this life, it's way different than how we've been explained. That means it's like, they're like, yo, rabbits are like, rabbits are like, cuddly, fluffy animals, right? And then you see, like, a red-eyed, demented rabbit, and you're like, okay, yeah, my childhood was a lie, What I'm saying is, you have held the world. What reality is all the lenses you've held in a certain way to look through. The value of the moment of life is unknown. Everybody is simulating something over it. There's very few, I think, people who can wonder about realities that are not simulated. Very few who it's not like something you can fathom, an unsimulated reality, but you can innately know it. I don't know how to say this, but there is the possibility of innately knowing things. Sorry guys, I had to pay attention more outside than inside the car. So anyways, where am I going with this? If somebody says, like, what is your value? Or what is the value to a moment of life? It's a movement. It's not a noun. It's a verb. Reality is dynamic. It's in motion. It's closer to an army an army of souls following a command. It's like we're in a commanded reality. And it's very difficult because I think the answer to the value of the moment is that its context is in higher planes. So if somebody says, what is the value of something that is like, we're at the bottom of the mountain, there's the top of the mountain, and they're like, yo man, tell us, what is the value of the mountain from the bottom? And I'll be like, it's just perception. It's how we perceive it. And humans start off perceiving things in their own way. Until they realize their own way is limited, and then they realize the limitations of the human condition, and then they realize the limitations of their freedom in reality. And it's wondering about, not just the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which every kid should be memorized as a kid. That's the type of educational system we needed, right? A universal one, not a local one. All local educational systems have failed the global one. When I was telling you earlier to look at life from an aerial view, as if like you're looking at it from the sky and you're just seeing civilization happen, you begin to see actually how small our individual lives are. For the person, like they're born into a system of self-obsession, because the self-survival is synonymous with self-obsession, right? And really what human beings are creatures that have obsessed over what their self is, and have decided to have that self follow more than their inner values. A person can get bored with their inner life, and at some point, this took me a while to realize, but the most important thing to talk about is society. What is the value of how things are placed in the moment? It's like walking into someone's room and seeing how everything's placed. Similarly, you've walked into a world room and you're looking at how things are placed, and you have an ability to wonder about variations and probabilities to things. That means a human being 100% has an ability before doing something to visualize various ways of doing it. That means your mind, we have minds that live ahead of the moment. And because they live ahead of the moment, we have access to probabilities of behavior, and we choose. It's kind of ingenious what our species has done. I have this belief that what is the IQ of a species, not just the IQ of individual humans. Right? That means it's not about like, okay, in a group of ants, there was one smart ant. It's like, no, no, no. What is the intelligence of the whole thing? And it's like asking the question, are ants, like legit, are ants and bees smarter than humans? And I would say existential design wise, they are as smart as us figuring out we have to start building the human kingdom, rebuilding the human effort, and not letting the might be lost. How mighty the species can be, that being lost because it was never activated. To me, being alive just as a human being alive right now, they're like, what kind of vibe in history were you alive in? And I'll be like, it was like that point where it's like the only purpose of life
was to activate the advancement of the species and then chill out. I don't care, you know, because it's all based on human, this world room values. If somebody says, "Hey man, what's your opinion on the afterlife?" All I can say is you got to ask my after self. You got to ask my after self about the afterworld and the afterlife it's living. Anyways, guys, this is a very interesting lecture. I'll probably dive deeper into this idea, but I think it's a notable question. Like, how often do you hear the question, "Yo, what is the value of the life of the moment? How are we alive as a moment of being, and what is its value? Like, which context do we choose?" Right? And then you'll see that the higher, this is my opinion, the higher realms of the intellect are not realms of teaching. The highest, most advanced state of something is not a state of just teaching. Okay? You give back. The idea is, what is the most advanced, high quality thing you can do that by its being done, how do I say it? It's like destiny was based on how deeply we lived, maybe. Anyways, guys, I gotta head out. Thank you for listening. That's it for this episode. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful.